You sit here and crawl. Oh, and not a damn tear came out of your face.
You didn't do it out of sudden passion. You didn't do it out of anger. You did it because you're evil.
This is Brandon Tyrone Garrett, a man who thinks he can just murder his wife. Because for months, Brandon has been obsessed with Jessica Sullivan, an obsession that has led him to do the unthinkable.
She was found face down in a full bathtub. That's how she was found.
Now he thinks he can get away with it all, completely unaware that with each piece of evidence that he left behind, Brandon will be forced to tell detectives everything.
Are you somebody that's sick, or are you a monster? And at this point, I believe you're a monster. Brandon, you're the only one here that knows what happened. Was it on purpose or accidental?
On May 1st, 2019, 34-year-old Jessica Taylor Sullivan's mother was panicking. She hadn't heard from her daughter all day, and her grandkids, who never missed a day of school, had failed to show up to their classes. Desperate for answers, she called Alvin Police Department in Texas to have them perform a welfare check. When they arrived at Jessica's home, her children answered the door and told them, "Mommy's sleeping." Jessica was a dedicated mother, a hard worker, and a loyal friend and community member. In no world would she sleep through the day, leaving her kids to fend for themselves. So the police pressed on, and when they entered the master bathroom, their heartbreaking suspicions were confirmed. Jessica had been strangled and drowned in her bathtub. After speaking with her family members, it became very clear who was responsible for her murder. Her husband of just 5 months, Brandon Tyrone Garrett. And if this doesn't tell you not to trust a dude with 3 first names, I don't know what will. The following footage was kindly provided to us by the Alvin Police Department.
So you know what the warrant was for? What you're arrested for? So what you're being charged with right now?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. Basically, while we're here, I do suffer from manic bipolar. We call that depression.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to. You have to speak up a little bit. Kind of hard hearing.
I do suffer from manic bipolar depression disorder.
Okay.
And over time, if I let things out, I don't treat it, I black out sometimes. And things happen that I actually don't, it happens out of nowhere, then I'm back to normal like nothing happened. It happens. I'm not excusing it. I accept fault that happened, and it happened on Monday or Sunday. Sorry, it happened on Sunday.
Okay.
My wife told me that I broke her loose. That's why I got the scratches on my arm. I broke my front door, and when I came to realize what was going on, I stopped. I let her leave and go to her mom's house, and that's what happened. Like I said, it was provoked, and that's the last thing my wife and I talked about.
You said it was provoked?
Yes, but I'm not making an excuse.
Okay.
I'm not making an excuse.
What prompted all that to happen?
My wife she's very emotional, and she got into it with her sister because I'm one of those parents that's a strict parent. I don't my daughters, but if they're not doing something right, I'll yell and to get them to do it right. And her sister, who's way in California, doesn't like that. So my wife, she plays both sides of the fence. She's like, I don't want to, how you say it, show this person favoritism, but not show this person favoritism. It's like she's back and forth, so she's in a mental struggle of her own. And she gets into it with her sister. I had no idea at the time what was going on. I get out the shower, she's crying. I'm like, what's wrong? She's leave me alone. I was like, okay, that's fine. We're laying in the bed. She goes in the living room. And then she goes in the living room, and all of a sudden she's texting me all this nasty stuff. She's like, I don't want you no more. I don't want to be with you no more, blah, 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 blah. Like just going off in text messages. I'm like, what's going on? So I go in there and I try to talk to her. She don't listen. So I walk out. I leave and I walk outside. I walk around the complex. I'm actually on the phone with my mother-in-law. explain to her what's going on. I don't know what's wrong with her, you know, what she did.
And this was on Sunday?
This is Sunday, yes. I came to the front door. I came back to the front door. I walked probably like 30 minutes around, like over there. I come back to the front door. She locked me out. And I'm knocking gently. I'm like, can you come open the door, please? And I'm not mad. I'm not vigilant or anything. Can you please open the door? And so now she's texting me instead of talking to me. Nope, I'm gonna sleep in the car. You're not coming in the house. So I just remember, all I remember, I mean, I know what I did. I broke the door in and for locking me out, but I just don't remember doing it. But that's why, the only thing I remember is once I finished, well, no, I wouldn't say I finished, I would just remember her saying, babe, and I just like snapped out and I just backed up and I backed away from her. And I just let her get her keys. So she's like, I understand, I'm sorry, I provoked it, I shouldn't have done that.
You know what instantly makes you look guilty? Well, aside from admitting to strangling someone like he's done here, it's claiming that your victim blamed themselves for provoking you and apologized. And on top of that, saying things like, I let her get her keys. I let her go to her mom's house. Now that Brandon has gotten his get-out-of-jail version of events out of the way, let's talk about what really happened in the previous incident he's discussing. On April 28th, Jessica called her sister in tears. She said that after an argument with Brandon, she feared for her life, so she had locked him out. Instead of going away to cool down, he broke the door off the hinges, stormed inside, and strangled her, almost to the point of unconsciousness. The violence was so severe that Jessica actually went to the hospital ER in the aftermath to make sure she didn't need any treatment.
So after that happened, give me timeline as far as where you were or what you did.
After that happened, she left and went to her mom's. I stayed at home for probably like 20 minutes. I can probably remember. 20 minutes, I got in my car. I drove to where we used to live, which was on Hill Street behind here, in Foley Hill Apartments. I went over there and I actually laid in my car and I slept there. I had packed me a bag. And I slept there because I couldn't stay in the house. That's all I just remember. So I slept there and then I went to work Monday morning.
And where do you work at?
In Grace Point at IDG Architects. It's an architecture firm.
Okay.
I went to work and I'm distraught. I'm devastated at work. Her and I are in communication. Again, she's saying, I know it was provoked, but, you know, and I keep saying, I was like, there's no excuse. I'm still saying, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for it to happen. If I could control it, it wouldn't have happened, but that's still no excuse. But when we were talking, and then she's telling me what, you know, her sister's telling her, her mom is, you know, her mom and I are texting each other, you know, just give her a little bit of time. Like, her mom knows who I am, and she was with us when I went to my depressive stage. So she knows I'm not just a bad person. So she knows, and I came home early. I wanted to see her.
On Monday?
So, yes, I want to see her Monday. I just want to see her, and I know she was at home. So I came in the house and I was just like, I want to talk, but I'm not thinking she's still afraid. You know, she thinks that she's not able to rationalize what's going on. All she remembers is me being upset the day before. So she was sitting in the bed and I was at the door. And she's just like, leave. I'm just like, I just want to talk, that's all. I want to talk. I wasn't going to do it, I'm just like, I just want to talk. She just happened to be on the phone with her sister. Her sister, I think she said her sister had already started calling 911. So either way, go ahead and call 911 regardless. So when she said, I'm on the phone, she looked at the phone, took her, I was like, all right, I just wanted to see you. I did, and I left. That's all I did. I left.
Once again, Brandon here is stretching the truth. On April 29th, shortly after Jessica returned from the hospital, she awakened to the sound of yelling. Once again, Brandon was trying to break into her apartment, and this time, he had a weapon. Moments after sending her sister this text, Jessica stopped texting back altogether. Panicked, her sister called 911, begging for them to respond to her sister's apartment. By the time police arrived, Brandon had fled, but Jessica was visibly shaken. Showing up threatening someone with a weapon is very different than calmly coming to the door to say, "I just wanted to talk."
The last night I talked to my wife, which was Tuesday. She was on the phone. We FaceTimed each other. And she just kept saying, I'm sorry, it's my fault. I provoked you, I did it. You know, our life is over. That's how she kept saying, our life is over. Our life is over, and I'm sorry, it is my fault. And I kept saying, no, it's not your fault. She's like, no, I love you, it's my fault, I did this to you. And I was like, I kept telling her, no, it's not. I was like, I'm gonna check myself to the hospital. And she just kept saying, my family's gonna disown me because I don't wanna let you go because I love you. And that's all she kept saying. And she was crying like a lot, crying like hard. And I was just like, I'm gonna get help.
So you said you talked to her last night. What did you do? Like, so you said you stayed at a coworker's Monday? Is that
Monday,
correct?
Monday night, Tuesday morning.
And Tuesday night?
Yes. And when I woke up this morning, I just remember waking up like around early, like 3, and I just felt this cold feeling in my body, and I just texted her, like, are you okay? What's going on? And I got no response. I got no responses. I've been texting her all day. I've been calling her. I know her, so instead of me, I stopped messaging. I stopped calling her. So I was like, well, let me just check and see if she's at work. So I called Fletcher and Noel, said she wasn't there.
Called it?
Fletcher and Noel. She worked at the Olive Garden right here in Alvin.
Okay.
She's a to-go specialist. I talked to them on the phone.
And when did you talk to them on the phone?
This morning, like early, like after it was, because she has to be there at 9.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember, I think the first phone call around there was like around 10, because I checked to see if she's at work. When they told me that she wasn't there, they were just like, yeah, that's not like her. She does not show up. So my second option was, okay, I know that we had discussions about the kids having a perfect attendance at school, so I called the school to see if the kids went to school. When they told me the kids weren't in school, I knew something was wrong. I was calling her mom. Her mom was like, just give her time. So I'm just like, I don't know. And then this afternoon, I finally sucked it up. I was like, you know what? I just hope her car's gone. Because if her car's gone, it means she's not home. I mean, that she didn't do what I think she did. So I called Ashley in the office. Well, I just called the front office, but Ashley answered the phone. And I said, can you do me a favor? Can you please go check to see if my wife's car is in the parking spot, 1502? But she said, okay. And then I think that's when you called me back.
If you thought something was wrong, why didn't you drive to Alvin to check on her?
Because the last time I saw her in person, she was afraid. I didn't want to see that.
Right.
I was just afraid. I didn't want to make my situation that I like do with this warrant. I didn't want to make it worse. So I was just trying to get other people to go over there, like, and not me myself personally. I'll talk to them at work. I try to get them to send coworkers over to the house or something like that. But I've been calling other people to do her mom.
I understand that, but when you called the school and figured out the kids weren't there, which is, by your own words, not a normal thing.
Right.
They had perfect attendance.
I thought that she took off and left. That was in my mind. I didn't.
But still, I'm trying to wrap my mind around why you wouldn't. Okay, regardless of how she felt, you want to check on your kids. Because I know if I was in that situation and my wife was mad at me and we had just gotten into a disagreement and she didn't want to see me, she ain't gonna keep me from my kids. She's not gonna keep me from checking on my kids. That's not gonna happen.
Her words as far as the girls, because the girls aren't allowed to mine. I'll say to my girl, but she was like, we'll get into it, and she'll end up taking it back, but she will always say those really like aren't, at the end of the day, they're not your kids, they're mine. So if I wanted to do something and take them, you have no say so, no right. You have no legal guardianship over them, even though we're married. You don't. They
Right.
have fathers. So,
I understand that too. I have two stepchildren. I realize at the end of the day, my wife could basically do whatever she wanted to, but I love those kids
yeah, exactly.
as well.
Exactly.
So if something was going on in my mind where I thought something may be wrong, regardless of her feelings about whether I was their father or not, or what role I played in their life, because I love those kids, I'd still check out.
Brandon's calls the morning of Jessica's disappearance were a huge red flag for investigators and pretty much every single person he talked to. Because when you haven't shown any love, care, or compassion for your wife, when you suddenly pretend to, people are rightfully thrown off by it. At 6 a.m., Brandon texted Jessica's mother stating that Jessica wasn't answering her phone, and he was concerned. Then, in the early morning, Brandon called the receptionist at the children's elementary school to ask if the girls had been dropped off. He told her he was concerned because Jessica had been talking about harming herself the previous night. The secretary, who hardly even knew Brandon, immediately thought this info dump was suspicious. And so did Jessica's boss at Olive Garden, who got not one, not two, but 3 calls from Brandon, feigning tears and asking if she had shown up to her shift. Needless to say, if you're going to play the part of a concerned husband, maybe make sure you're concerned about your partner's general life before the murder, and not just the morning after.
At any point during all this, if you were concerned about her welfare, why didn't you contact the police department?
The only and I was thinking about that too. Officer Hill, I was thinking about calling him, but like I said, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't want to send them to a panic, so I'd rather have somebody else go over there, because Officer Hill was I was supposed to let me know when there was a warrant issue, because I had no idea that the warrant had been opened. I had no idea, but he told me that he was going to, so I didn't want to make it seem like I'm stalking her.
Detective Jackson asked you just a second ago if you were being completely honest with everything that you'd said. And obviously there's a reason that we're talking with you. And I know that you've dealt with law enforcement before, you've dealt with the court system before, correct? Dealt with juries.
This isn't Brandon's first rodeo, because you know what he's been arrested for before? In 2007, he strangled his girlfriend next to a bathtub until she passed out. Not just once, but 3 times.
So, your wife, she's going for an autopsy. You know what that is, right?
Yes, sir.
So the medical examiner, they're going to do all kinds of tests on her, blood test, DNA test, toxicology, and they'll come up with a determination for the cause of death and manner of death. So if they come back and they say it's homicide, who do we need to look at?
It shouldn't be a homicide.
Why shouldn't it be?
I mean, not a homicide. I mean, that's all I can say is I'm going off of what the sources are looking at, and I didn't do anything to her. The last biblical thing I did, which I said I'm not proud of, I'm not bragging about it, was Sunday. And I tried to talk to her on Monday, and the way she looked at me and the way she was afraid made me not want to. I wanted to give her some space to cool down. I wanted her mother told me the same thing when I was trying to reach her this morning. Give her space to cool down.
Well, if it wasn't a homicide, or if she wasn't killed by someone, then what happened?
I don't know what she did. I wasn't in the house. I asked how she found what happened. I don't have any knowledge of anything, so I couldn't give you an answer to what she did. I just know that I just know that she was upset the last time I talked to her.
Well, she was found face down in a full bathtub. That's how she was found. And she didn't just fall in that bathtub. She didn't put herself down in that bathtub.
They found in the bathtub.
Her face was in the bathtub, and the other half of her body was outside of the bathtub. This is not my first rodeo. No, it's not yours. But there's things that we look for that are indicative that someone's not telling us the truth. So far, man, you've been spot on almost every one of them.
I just don't remember now I'm being blamed for this. That's why I was like, when you told me that you coming to have questions, I was like, what? Like, I wasn't even there.
Well, Brandon, you're married to her, and you're gone. I'm getting information that you're making some strange phone calls that you normally don't make. When I do talk to you on the phone, you tell me you're going to be here. After you find out that your wife's deceased, and then you drive around for another 5 hours, and you tell us that you were afraid. If I just found out that my wife was dead, I would have been there as quickly as I possibly could have.
When I first I was on my way, when I got back to my car, I was on my way out here as soon as I possibly could.
Hey, man, Brandon, stop. Stop. Feeding us the lines, playing games. Detective Jackson is right. Any normal person, they found out their wife was dead, warrant or not, whether or not you knew you had a warrant or not, you're still going to go to the police and try to find out what the hell happened to your wife.
Came and not called nobody. I should have just came.
But instead, you did the complete opposite. You went the other way because we watched you on the map. You went away from your wife. You've been planning this all day. I need to call this person. I need to call that person. I need to say this. I need to do that.
Brandon tried to lean into the blackout defense and is clearly trying to use his mental health to mount an insanity plea. But the fact that so much planning took place before and after the murder completely contradicts that. If you're capable of trying to cover up a murder after you do it, you're capable of standing trial.
I have not seen you shed one tear since you've been in here.
I've been crying all day. I'm trying. My mouth is dry. Everything is dry.
Yeah, well, your tear ducts aren't dry. You've shown no emotion. The only emotion that I've heard you share with us today is why you were on the phone. About 90% of that I didn't believe. So that's what you want to stick with?
Yes.
I'm going to recap it for you. You stayed with your friend last night. Last time you saw her was Monday. You called everybody but her to check on her.
That part not true.
You never came to town to check on her, yet you were so worried about her. And when the police finally called you, told you that she had died, you just drive around in circles instead of coming to talk to us. That's what you're going with. That's what you want to go with.
My cousin told me not to go and don't go alone.
Brandon, how old are you, man?
34.
34. You let other people dictate what you do in a situation where your wife is deceased. You know your wife's deceased.
It just
Don't. That doesn't make sense to me, dude. You're sitting here telling me how much you love your wife and that you would never hurt her, and maybe you would never intentionally hurt her. But everything you're telling me and the way that you acted today, it doesn't make sense.
what witnesses are telling us, what your cell phone's telling us, tells us you were at that apartment last night.
It doesn't make sense for you to sit here and lie to us.
Brandon still hasn't truly taken hold of any of the bait detectives have thrown at him, in spite of the mountains of evidence against him. A few hours later, he's brought in to speak to a new detective. And he's not just throwing out bait, he's chumming the waters. And what do you know? Miraculously, Brandon starts remembering things from his blackout. Amazing how that happens, isn't it?
So what? Tell me about Sunday night again. Then what happened? You went out to the convenience store.
Yeah, I
and
was
you called your mother-in-law.
talking to my mother on the phone.
That's
and-
Joyce.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, yes, sir. I was talking to my mother-in-law on the phone, and I had got a text message from Jessica saying, "I'm locking you out," because she saw me far away. She saw me on the phone. I guess she assumed I was talking to a female or something. And I told her, I was like, "Babe, I wasn't on the phone like that." I was like, I didn't tell her I was talking to her mom. And she's like, "Yes, you were." She's like, "Well, just stay outside." And I was just like, "All right." So I sat on the porch for a while, and because I had my key, I unlocked the top lock and like our door handle. The doorknob has a lock in it, and then one key locks both of them. So I unlocked that, and when I opened the door, the deadbolt top was locked, and she was on the couch. And I know that now because she had told me she was sitting on the couch watching me the whole time. And she was like, "You weren't even mad when you was knocking on the door." She's just like, all of a sudden, like, I was knocking on the door, and all of a sudden, this is what she told me I did. I was knocking on the door, I sat down, I knocked again, and I sat down. And then she next thing I just bull rushed the door. And I don't remember doing that. I remember just sitting on the patio on the porch. And she said I just bull rushed the door, and that's how I hurt my arm. I broke in. And she said I saw her, and she just said I started choking her, and then she said my name, and that's when I snapped out of it. I don't remember any of that.
You said that the key unlocks the bottom lock and the deadbolt?
No, the deadbolt doesn't have a key to it. The deadbolt was locked.
And it's just from the inside?
Right.
You can't key it from the outside?
Right, you have the deadbolt, and you have the regular lock on the door, and you have the doorknob lock. The key opens the regular lock and the doorknob lock. And she had all the locks locked.
She had all of them locked. You unlocked the deadbolt on the doorknob, but that top one was locked.
But the top deadbolt was still locked. And I was thinking that she had had it open. And she had told me.
And she told you did what after that? That you did what?
She told me I broke in the door.
How did she tell you you broke in?
Oh, when we talked on the phone, she said I used my shoulder and I broke in the door.
Okay.
She said I hit the door like twice and I broke through the door.
And then what happened?
She told me, but I obviously I did.
Did y'all like go to the ground or?
I don't know. She said we were on the couch. I don't know. Yeah, that's what she said.
And then what happened?
And then I guess when I snapped to, she was like, "Let me just go to my mom's house." And I was like, "Okay." And I gave her a wallet. Because her wallet was on the kitchen counter. That's where it always is. I gave it to her. She woke the girls up. I took her key off the hook. I gave it to her. And she left with the girls. And I didn't try to stop her because I wasn't sure what happened. I didn't know what happened. And she left. And then that's it. That's the last time I saw the girls.
And you said you stayed and she left? How long did you stay? All night?
No. I stayed for about 20 minutes. I had packed. That's why I packed my bags up. My bag's been packed. I stayed for about enough time to pack my bag, and then I drove out. And
so why did you decide to leave?
I didn't want to sit there. I was looking at the door. I was staring at the door broke in the living room, and I was just like, I can't be here. I don't know what happened, and I couldn't be there without my family. I felt like at that particular moment when she walked out, I was like, I just lost my family. I just lost the love of my life and my kids. And they just walked out, and I just couldn't sit there because I couldn't wrap my head around what happened.
Playing the victim when a detective has DNA, fingerprints, phone records, surveillance cameras, and a motive backing you up as the murderer is about as ridiculous as it gets, or so you'd think. But somehow Brandon continues to try and make more and more elaborate excuses. Thankfully, this cop isn't letting it fly, and we love it.
So,
Well, let me just tell you this. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry that you found yourself in this position. I can't go so far to say that you're a victim of circumstances, but I wish that we weren't here. I wish you weren't here. I wish that Jessica was still alive. That's how I truly feel about all of this. But unfortunately, I got to be involved, and we got to be involved just by the nature of what's taking place.
I understand.
Our job is to do a couple things, and one of them is find out what happened. And if we already know what happened, then we got to find out why it happened, and how it happened. And a lot of times, if we know what happened, we know how it happened. But sometimes the hardest part is finding out why it happened. Okay, so you telling me everything that happened Sunday is getting us almost there as far as what happened Sunday. In those regards.
Yeah, to the west.
But it's not complete. Okay, I know enough about bipolar. I know enough about depression that we really don't black out. We don't really fly in a rage. People use that expression a lot, and when they use that expression, it doesn't really mean what people interpret it to mean. Okay, sometimes when people black out, they basically mean that they did something, they were aware they did it, they just didn't have any control over themselves. So they use the expression blacked out. And so when you sit here and tell me that you blacked out, I've got to take that with a grain of salt. You know what I'm saying? I can't, I don't know, for lack of a better term, I can't accept that explanation. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to answer to me, but eventually you're going to have to answer to a couple people. One of them might be a judge, one of them might be a jury of 12 people, but the other one's definitely God. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Do you believe in God?
Yes, sir.
I do too. So we know at some time in our life, above anybody and beyond anything else in this world, that's one of the people we're going to have to answer to. But the first immediate thing is going to be a judge or a jury. And there's enough experts out there that know a lot more about this kind of stuff than I do, that are not going to accept the expression or the explanation of blacking out. Now, if you did something you had no control over your emotions, that's understandable. But to say that you don't remember any of it, nobody's going to buy into that.
Well, that particular part, I'm not omitting that. That's what basically got us. I mean, that's what the warrant and stuff was for.
Right.
I'm not.
I know you're not denying it happened, but to say that you blacked out and you don't remember anything, that is not the truth.
Well, I don't remember exactly.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to explain to you that that's not the truth, and it's not the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help you God, and that I know that it's not the whole truth. You see what I'm saying?
I don't have an exact account of what happened. The only thing I remember from it is me.
Well, let me give you some help real quick, okay? There's no way she could have known that you shouldered the door.
But she said she was looking out the blinds when I was doing it.
There's no way she could have seen that you shouldered the door, okay?
And my shoulder hurts, so.
Well, that's the only person who knows the shoulder hurt is you, right?
One of the most tragic parts of the case is the fact that Jessica was so close to escaping Brandon. The night before her murder, she spoke at length with her sister about having the marriage annulled. In fact, she was planning on leaving her home in the meantime to go into hiding somewhere safe, where Brandon wouldn't be able to find her. Sadly, she never got the chance.
They interviewed the girls. They took the girls to a place that's called the Child Advocacy Center, and they took them and interviewed them yesterday at the Missouri County Child Advocacy Center. Now, there are some discrepancies in some of the things that we've already found, regarding Tuesday night. This is the night before you turned yourself in here. This is the night of the night prior to the morning that we found Jessica's body. Okay? And some of the discrepancies are the fact that I think you told Detectives Jackson and Kelly that you weren't at the apartment. Is that correct?
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Okay, I need you to look at me eye to
I
eye.
wasn't there. I wasn't at the apartment. You're
Okay.
talking about out here in Alvin, right?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Earlier I asked you about your phone. You know, has anybody ever been in possession of your phone? And no. Anybody borrow your phone? No. Anybody use your phone? No.
No, sir.
Because your phone hooked up with the Wi-Fi in that apartment Tuesday night.
Tuesday night.
Your Alexa thing works off the Wi-Fi that y'all have with your cable.
No, it's the Alexa. That's my.
No. I'm not. But I'm just saying Alexa works off of Wi-Fi, and your phone connected with the Wi-Fi Tuesday night. And the only way your phone could have connected to the Wi-Fi of that apartment is you'd had to have been pretty close to it.
No, my phone.
Hold on. Okay. That's what the records are showing. I haven't looked at them. Detective Jackson has. That's what he told me. So is there an explanation why, if you weren't there, why your phone would have?
Because I have an app on my phone, and what I can do is I can check all the hi. It's called Xfinity Hi-Fi, and that could be possibly why. Because I can look and see what's connected to the Wi-Fi from my Wi-Fi, and I hit that app a few times the night before. I always use that.
What do you mean you hit that app?
When you hit the app, I guess it probably connects to my phone wasn't actually connected to the Wi-Fi. It was connected to the app. As a Xfinity.
Yeah, but no, your phone was connected to the app, to the Wi-Fi.
My phone. Yeah, my phone has the app is on my phone.
But it's not through the app. It just automatically synced with the Wi-Fi.
Oh no, my phone wasn't. I wasn't there. So. I mean, what time would it say that?
I think it was. I don't know. Don't hold me to this. I want to say it was around 10 or after 10 at night. The license plate readers picked your car up coming to Alvin about 9 o'clock. You were at, do you
It
remember?
was off of 288. I forgot I can get the cross section. It was off
10
288.
o'clock.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
I didn't drive my car tonight.
But you said nobody else drives your car.
Right. No, but I wasn't.
Okay, hold on a second now. This is technology, okay? I don't understand it, but other people do, and they tell me that this is good, okay? You and I talked earlier. I mentioned that part of getting to your mental health is accepting responsibility.
I didn't drive my car.
Are you saying somebody else drove your car?
No, I didn't drive my car. I didn't leave. I didn't come to Alvin on Tuesday.
I have no reason to try to bullshit you with this, okay? This is just hard, irrefutable evidence, okay? That your car was on 288 and that your phone synced with the Wi-Fi. That's the tip of the iceberg, because as soon as they pull all these records, there'll be a lot more detail. And you're sitting here telling me, no, none of that happened. We all want to believe that there's good in people. No one wants to believe, like Detective White said, that there are monsters in the world. So if you're a monster, you're a monster. If you're not a monster, then you need to tell us that you're not a monster. I believe you. I believe you 100% when you tell me that. I believe that your mental illness, your lack of being on your medication, the emotions, the fact that you were going to lose a wife and maybe a family again. What happened, Brandon?
What happened?
Take a deep breath. Tell us what happened. Brandon, tell us what happened.
I don't know what happened.
Brandon, you're the only one here that knows what happened.
I don't know what happened. As I'm trying to tell you guys, I don't know what happened.
Surveillance cameras tracked Brandon's whole journey from the co-worker's house he was staying at to Jessica's apartment and back. Not only was his car captured on cameras and by the GPS installed in it, but he took his phone with him, something that he still continues to deny even as detectives give him cold, hard facts.
And this is what I want to show you, because I think I can show you this. I think without getting in trouble, without protecting people's privacy, I can show you at least this part, so you know I'm not lying, so you trust. This is your car at 288 and Highway 6 on the 30th, almost at 9 p.m. So you know, right here with this, the license plate, right, light reader. I don't know if I'm supposed to be showing you this. This is your car, this is your license, and you're here that night at 8:56 and 26 seconds. Just so you know. So what I'm saying is the police have the puzzles of what happened. There's no doubt.
Let's back up to a minute. Let's back up to a minute where you said you don't know what happened. Look at me, please. Where you said you don't know what happened. Because this is the same thing that you were saying a minute ago when you say you blacked out. You know what happened. You know you didn't black out. Or at the point where you're saying I don't know what happened. But you do know what happened. And if you're going to be judged by everybody as a monster or somebody with a mental illness, you're the one that's going to have to defend yourself and prove that you're not a monster. So please don't sit here and tell us, I don't know what happened.
And we've shown you respect by not lying to you. Please don't do us the disrespect. Because anyone in the world with common sense can say, he's definitely not telling the truth. I could show anyone this piece of paper and they could say, there's no doubt he's not telling the truth. I haven't lied to you, he hasn't lied to you.
I don't think he's lying at this point. I think he's,
can't remember.
no, I don't. Tell me how far off I am. But I think you know, we know. And I think you just don't want to, like Detective White said a minute ago, you don't want to bring it out.
To have that dark cloud.
You know, it's right here. It's right here. It's right here.
I didn't physically hurt my wife.
I can't hear you.
I didn't physically hurt my wife on Tuesday.
Brandon, we've already established that you have. More than once.
What were you thinking when you were driving down Highway 6 towards Alton? What was going through your head? Help me understand that. Because that part you can for sure remember. So you're driving down 6. What's going through Brandon's head at this point? Please help me remember. Were you trying to patch things up?
She wanted me to see her.
She asked you to come. She wanted you to come see her. Okay. So you're driving down 6, and then which way did you go after that? And like I said, Brandon, look at me for a second. This isn't me playing tricks. Sometimes I have to ask questions that I already know the answers to, but this is your statement. I don't want to put words in your mouth ever to somebody. That's not fair to that person. So I have to let you say it, not me. So you said you're driving down 6 on Tuesday, and because she wanted to see you. So she wanted to see you, and then and where did you go from 6? Which obviously I know, I just have to get your statement.
Driving to the house.
I can't hear you.
I was just riding.
And when you got there, where did you park at the apartment complex on Tuesday night?
She told me not to text her to come in for a while because Janine was still awake.
Okay. Did you have a key or was the door unlocked?
She unlocked it. I gave her my key on Monday.
She unlocked the door, and what was the first words out of her mouth?
I didn't talk to her.
Okay. So she unlocked the door, and then where did you go from there? Or you walked in, where'd you go from there?
Walked in, I saw that her bedroom door was locked.
You saw her bedroom door locked, and then what happened from there?
I didn't go in the bedroom. That's why
Was she in the bedroom?
I assume, I don't know. That's
Okay.
why I did the photo thing. Wednesday. That's all day. I kept checking on everybody. I didn't know what was going on.
Right? Like, look at me for a minute. If you have to judge somebody and you're sitting there judging her, is that going to fly with Brandon? It's not. You know it's not.
I mean,
So you said you walked in and she is in the bedroom door is locked, you said? Okay, so then where did you go from there?
I just grabbed my bag because I had my bag there. My green and black bag. I grabbed it.
Okay.
I just sat in the living room for a while. And I didn't want to wake the girls up. And I kept, I knocked on the door. And I was like, I didn't want to repeat of what happened the other night.
Sure.
So I knocked and I sat there for a while. And she wouldn't open the door. So I just left.
Okay,
You did talk to her. You did talk to her. So, walking through the door, tell me what happened to you, please.
I just remember my bag was in the living room, and I popped the light on to see the bag, and my bag was in the living room.
In her room?
No, the living room. I asked her to put it in there. Well, I asked her to make sure my bag was in there because I left it. And then I turned the light off once I saw it, so I wouldn't trip over it. Because it was behind, when you walk in, it was the pink mat that you see in the girls' room, but she put it in front of the door. And I would have tripped over it if I had turned on the light. And then I walked over the room and I knocked on the door. And when I knocked on the door, I was like, "Babe, can I see you?" She was like, "No." I was like, "Babe, I want to see you." She was like, "No, just go." So I sat on the couch, and then I had my spare key. I picked it up off the table. I closed and locked the door, and I left.
No.
Tell us about the argument that you had.
We didn't have an argument.
The neighbors heard. Please tell us about the argument you had.
We didn't have an argument. We had an argument.
Discussion, then you would call it a discussion.
There was no screaming match, no nothing.
Well, then tell me what happened. So you're telling me, let me get this straight, because this is what a quarter judge and jury would hear. You're telling me that there was no screaming match.
No.
You're telling me that there was no argument. So what you're telling me is you snuck in there and killed her. What you're telling me is you snuck in there and killed her like a serial killer would.
No, sir.
You're not telling me you did it out of sudden passion, which is a defense.
No, sir.
You didn't do it out of sudden passion. You didn't do it out of anger. You did it because you're evil, is what you're telling me. Because there's no doubt what you did.
Almost every neighbor in the apartment complex reported hearing screaming, arguing, and loud thudding the night that Jessica was murdered. Her neighbor on the other side of the bathroom wall described feeling a series of concussions around midnight.
What happened? What was the altercation that happened between y'all two? What button did she push?
Tuesday night in her bedroom.
That's the question.
And don't say you just didn't talk and you left, because we know that's not the truth. And what's more important is we know that that's not the truth. So you're not sitting here BSing us. You're lying to yourself, if anything.
We haven't lied to you at all, Brandon, about anything. This really is important for your future. That if there's a mitigating circumstance there, then you have to be the one that says it.
Was this on purpose or was it accidental? Just give me that much. Was it on purpose or accidental? Brandon, was it on purpose or accidental? Brandon, don't hide behind your hands. Was it on purpose or accidental? Brandon, was it on purpose or accidental? You know that makes all the difference in the world, don't you? Brandon, was it on purpose or accidental?
You all right?
Brandon, was it on purpose or accidental?
She told me to.
I can't hear you.
She told you to.
Who told you to? Brandon, look at me for a second. Brandon, look at me. Brandon,
Who told you?
tell me, answer
Said
this.
she told
Was it
you
on
to.
purpose or accidental? Was it on purpose or accidental?
She said she didn't want to live anymore.
She said she didn't want you anymore.
Live. She don't want to live anymore.
She didn't want to live anymore.
She said to it and take care of the girl that she didn't need to live no more.
Saying she wanted you to kill her.
She said her family disowned her.
You said her family disowned her?
She said that's all she had was her family and me.
Was it intentional or was it accidental?
It was accidental. I didn't.
What do you think? Was it on purpose or accidental? Finally, Brandon has cracked, which I also would have done hearing that question that many times. However, the explanation he's about to give for his actions is, well, also cracked.
Tell me what happened then. Let's go back to when you walked in the door. Tell me what happened.
I walked in the door and we was speaking and she was crying.
You walked in the door and what? I couldn't hear you, sir.
She was crying.
Please sit up. So
She
we
was
can hear
crying?
you.
Yeah, okay. And then what happened?
Crying and she kept saying repeatedly she didn't want to live no more.
She was saying she didn't want to live anymore?
She kept saying her family disowned her, was going to disown her. She took me back and she said she loved me. And she like, I've done everything for her.
So what happened?
She was sitting by the restroom and standing eventually, but I was sitting beside the bed, on my side of the bed, talking to her. And my side of the bed is the side with the big nightstand. I don't know if you were in there. If you're looking at the bed, the left side of the bed, that's my side.
Okay.
And I was sitting on that side and we were talking. And she was saying she don't want to lose me. She said, but she just doesn't want to live anymore. And I was like, what do you mean you don't want to live anymore? And she walked over, picked my hand up, and walked me to where the restroom. And it was already water in the bathtub. And I was like, I'm thinking she would take a bath. She was like, no.
You were thinking what?
It was water in the bathtub, so I was like thinking she doesn't take a bath, and that was weird when she takes showers. I felt like that was weird already in itself. And I was like, well, what's wrong? And she looked in the mirror, and to look at her face, she was crying like, I've never seen her cry so hard and so much. And she put my hand on her neck, and she said, I don't want to live anymore. And she started squeezing. And she was saying that.
She started squeezing what?
She started squeezing my hand. Like, at first they were just sitting here like that. Because I was trying to snap it down. She was like, no, and I didn't want to snap. She said, don't. And I put my hands up. And she said, she just started squeezing my hand. She said, do it. And she stood there. And she said, do it. And she said, finish what you started because I can't live anymore.
How long did you squeeze her neck?
Not long at all.
What would be your guess?
Probably not even a minute.
So what happened then?
Well, she kind of like fainted and fell in the tub.
And then what happened?
And then I don't have to, like she didn't move. It's like she was already gone. And it wasn't even that long.
So then what happened?
So I just left the apartment. She told me to do it. I didn't think it was going to happen. I didn't do it long enough for it to happen. I don't think I did.
You want a glass of water or something?
Can you do me a favor? You want to eat? Can you show me on this box how hard you squeezed her neck? Just squeeze it. I don't care if you crush the box. I don't care if you crush it. Show me how hard you squeezed it.
Probably like that much.
That's that. You can crush that box as much as you want. I don't care.
It's probably like this. I felt that, I think she already had a bruise from when I first did it, and I
From
think
Sunday?
I think I hit that bruise or whatever up there something because I felt like it's real low. Like it's
Was it just like that? Is that how you're doing it?
Yeah.
Is that as hard as you squeeze?
Just about.
We're gonna get you glass with you right now.
I'm gonna get me a glass of water too. You don't want a glass? You want a glass? I'm gonna get me a jug of water. I'll be right back. Yeah, I'll get.
You know the detectives are high-fiving and clicking their heels out in that hallway because he's just given the dumbest explanation for strangling someone ever. Jessica's autopsy revealed trauma to her arms, pressure marks on her abdomen, where she was being shoved against the tub, and bruising across her body. Additionally, there was also extensive bruising and damage to her neck. In other words, this was violent, not peaceful, like Brandon is somehow trying to claim.
So let me ask you something, with that being said. When she stopped breathing and fell into the bathtub, why did you leave?
Just didn't know. I just remember her saying she didn't want the girls to know I was there. And it just...
Wait a minute, what was that? You left because...
I remember her saying that she didn't want the girls to know that I was there.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't want the girls to be scared to automatically, know that I was there and it happened. I didn't want the girls to...
So she stopped breathing and fell in the tub, and you snuck out because of the kids. Are you listening to the words that are coming out of your mouth? Do they make any sense to you?
It sounds stupid, but that's what was going through my mind.
I think the word I would use is preposterous. Because if I've loved a woman, like you say you loved her, which I do, and even in a fight or something, and she stopped breathing, I could care less if I got arrested. I would be there to try to save her life. I would at the very least call 911 if I had no clue what to do. I would try CPR, I would try mouth to mouth, I would get her out of that tub, I'd pull her out on the ground. But you didn't do any of that. You didn't do one little thing once she stopped breathing, except dropped her into the tub. You know what I think? I think you pinned her in the tub.
No.
And she sucked in some water and she drowned. Because you know what we got from the autopsy? You want to know what we got from the autopsy? One of the things we got from the autopsy is she has water in her lungs. You know what that means? That means she was alive when her head went underwater. She was alive and breathing, making an effort when her head went underwater. So your story about her pressing your hands to her throat and then passing out and falling into the tub doesn't hold water. It doesn't cut it. And I bet you I can find a 15-year-old high school student that could hear that story and tell you the same thing. So we're going to step back to where we were a minute ago and ask you, are you somebody that's sick or are you a monster? And at this point, based on what you're telling me, I believe you're a monster. I believe my perception of you up to this point has been incorrect. Because if I hit my wife, the woman that I love, the woman that's brought my children into this world, and she fell head first into the bathtub, as soon as I got her out of that tub and started CPR, I'd be dialing that phone, calling 911. Get me a damn ambulance over here. Somebody help me. Somebody call 911. She cannot die. I cannot let her die. But you did. You let her fall in that tub. You held her head down underwater until she drowned and suffocated. And then you snuck out of the house so the girls wouldn't know you were there.
That's not what.
The problem is people know you were there. I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna go so far as to say that you are a and I'm gonna tell you why. Because the girl out, shoved her head into that bathtub until she drowned, Then you politely and quietly grabbed your shit and you fled the scene. And then you sit here and cry crocodile tears about doing it. Because she told you to do it. Not only did she tell you to do it, she made you do it. She grabbed those big 6 foot, whatever you are, 300 and whatever pounds you are, and pressed your hands around her throat until she death and fell in that tub and drowned. You know what crocodile tears are? That's like the absence of tears. Grief, you can't fake it. You sit here and crawl, oh, and not a damn tear came out of your face. You can't even be honest right now in this room and accept responsibility for what you did. You're going to sit there and lie bald-faced to 2 men that have a combined time in law enforcement of 62 years and try to convince us this little girl herself out with your hands and then fell in that bathtub and drowned.
I didn't say she herself out with my hands.
Huh?
I didn't say she did.
You're saying she pressed her hands in and then she just blacked out. She fainted and she fell in the tub.
But
She fell in the tub. You know what was in the bottom of that tub under her head? Blood. Blood. You know why there was blood? Because her face was hitting the bottom of that tub. Yeah.
No.
That's evidence, dude. I got pictures of that. Yeah.
That's not what
You
happened.
might not be aware of it. That is what happened.
That's not what happened, sir.
Dude, don't sit here and tell me she fainted and fell in that bathtub
That's not what happened.
and drowned.
That's not what happened, sir.
Then tell me what happened. Because it ain't what you told me a minute ago.
That's what happened.
That's not what happened. That's not what happened. Just stop. Just stop. Brandon, you know that's not what happened. And you know you have not convinced us. You know what? I'm going to cut Detective White out because he's a nice guy. He wants to give you the benefit of the doubt. But I am beyond that at this point. You're a cold-blooded killer. You girl out, held her head underwater until she drowned and strangled, and then you left the house real quietly. You were so concerned about your that you couldn't even call 911, that you couldn't try to resuscitate her, that you couldn't pull her head out of the water? No, because you know once her head went in that water, she was dead. Because you held it under there until she stopped moving. And now you're sitting in here trying to convince 2 detectives she fell in the bathtub. This is the one I got to tell you again. Are you listening to the words that are coming out of your mouth?
After this, Brandon decides to try different words out of his mouth, but they're just as fishy as the last ones, if not more so. In his next version of events, he claimed that the two decided they wanted to go together, but after Jessica was killed, Brandon decided he couldn't go through with it.
No, the thing is, I have 2 daughters myself. They're old. One's in high school, one's in college. And just thinking about my wife being gone, died, passed away, which I had to think about years ago when she had breast cancer. Think about my daughters growing up without their mother. Just thinking about that scenario almost brings me to tears. Yet here you are telling me that you killed these 2 girls' mother and took her away for the rest of their lives, and you don't even break a sweat. You don't even get a teary eye.
Ultimately, Brandon was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Jessica Taylor Sullivan, a loving mother, daughter, and friend. Our hearts go out to Jessica's family, who loved her dearly, and her children. May her memory be a blessing for everyone who knew her. Thank you for watching today's video. Whether you're new here or have been with us for a while, check out one of the craziest cases I've ever covered right here, or one of my newest uploads right here.